Yo, love wrestling. What is going on, people? As Lawrence is already saying in the chat, we back up, baby. We back up. It has been a little bit. We basically took the month of December off for the holidays and January to kind of regroup, real life stuff, holiday stuff. Winter's in the Northeast. I know Drew's in New York. I'm in Massachusetts. It's a time, man. There's a lot of shit going on. There's a lot of shit going on. So, we took some time. We were still in contact with each other, but as you can see, we're back. We're looking a little fresh. New theme song, new intro video, new graphics to kind of go with the current palette that we see on AEW every week. But we were ready. We've been talking about coming back for
and a new.
You got a nice little setup.
I have moved, not home.
You're at an angle now. You're showing
a different place.
You don't have a bad side, but you're showing your camera side.
Yeah,
it's looking nice.
I got my new little thing here. I have my MJF box. I have my TNT title and Baby Yoda guarding it, and it's nice. It's really nice. So before we, get into everything, I just wanted to say most of the time of us being gone was my fault. And I apologize to our audience for it. In November of last year, I started kind of, I don't want to say hate watching wrestling. I wasn't hate watching wrestling, but I wasn't into it as much as I had been in the past. And I decided, with your permission, of course, because I had to come to you about it. I need to take a month off, and I'm really glad that I did, because I came back in January rejuvenated, legitimately. And I suggest for people to just do that sometimes. Sometimes if you're feeling like you're watching something that you genuinely would enjoy, and people's opinions on it are starting to affect your viewing of it too, take a step back. And it really helps you. I took my first break legitimately from wrestling. I'm talking, I was already not watching WWE regularly, but I was watching AEW regularly. Obviously, we have this show, so I had to watch AEW regularly. I said, people are starting to view things negatively, and it's affecting me, and that's a problem. So therefore, I need to take a step back. And I didn't watch any AEW for all of December, whole month, except one show, World's End.
Yeah,
and I didn't watch that show on TV. I attended that show. I actually went to the show, and I had a great time. I didn't even tell anybody I was going. Nobody from Fightful, nobody on Twitter, no one that I generally say, hey, I'm coming to the show, but I didn't say anything to anybody. And I didn't even see anybody there. I was just there by myself. And I had a good time. I enjoyed it. And I got to see, stuff that we're going to probably end up talking about, even though, we're talking about Dynamite and Collision this week, but because we haven't been here in a
we
while.
haven't been here since November-ish, so I'm sure we'll just talk about the current state of how we're feeling about
Right.
things
Yeah.
in general and stuff. But
And I want to put this out there for everybody too, because I'm kind of changing my perspective on podcasting when it comes to AEW now. The goal I've decided that the goal of my presence on Firmly AEW is not to fantasy book, it's to analyze. And I want to give my authentic opinion on the stories, of course. That's what we're doing here. But I want to give it on the story being booked for me, how Tony Khan is booking it, not necessarily making it about how I want to book a story. Because I was telling JPJ this off air, I've fallen into a trap, as a lot of wrestling fans do,
Yep.
of envisioning how I want a story to be booked. And when it doesn't happen, it's like, oh, okay, like with the devil reveal angle, for weeks before that, in the months leading up to it, before we took a break, it was like, oh, this should happen, and this should happen, and it should be this way, and should look like this. And I didn't hate the reveal, but there was something in me that was like, oh, but if they just did it the way that I wanted it to be done. And that's when you fall into the trap as a wrestling fan. So I don't want to be like that anymore with a product that I genuinely love.
Yeah, 100%.
And something that I told myself during my time off was, I'm no longer a fantasy booker, I'm a fan. And that is how I'm deciding to go forward with it.
Yeah, and I think for the most part that, and when you talk about wrestling and you talk about a lot, and we got Dash popping in the chat saying, "What's up, fellas? Good morning. How we doing, Dash?" I got to meet Dash when I was up in Edmonton last week. Hell of a fella. He let me commentate the main event at one of the shows. And he was like, "Yeah, you can take my seat."
I saw that. Yeah, that was really awesome that you got to do that.
That was fun. I thought I didn't talk enough, but Big Bad Boris, the man, the Audible Chocolate, as they call him, he was very complimentary, and he was complimentary about it to other people when I wasn't around. So that's how I know it was real. Because I'm one of those people. I'm like, well, you're obviously going to tell me that I did well. Like, you're not going to look at me and go, "You sucked, man." And I would appreciate it, honestly, if you did. But if you didn't, I expect you to be like, "Oh yeah, you were good, great, high five." But when you're talking to other people saying, "Oh, he was really good," that's how I know it's real. Yeah. But to back up what you just said, look at. And what we do in the scheme of things, small potatoes, Drew. It's small potatoes,
of course.
But when you're talking about, I've been covering AEW extensively through a few different shows here at Love Wrestling since I joined at the beginning of 2021. Now I watch AEW every week because I, like you, love AEW. But you can get into those cycles where you feel like, oh, I'm only watching this because I need to talk about this on Sunday. You know what I mean? Like, if you're not feeling it, or you're in kind of a dip, like, just like any fandom, we're fans of pro wrestling, but like, I've been watching wrestling for 30 years of my life. I have a relationship with professional wrestling like that. Yes, it's a fan relationship, but it is a relationship, and there are ups and downs. There's times where I'm like, I haven't really been feeling wrestling these last couple months, or like, oh, like I feel like now up until Friday when the other company ripped my heart out, I feel like I've been thoroughly enjoying professional wrestling, and I'm like, I like everything that's going on in both areas. I'm feeling good. It's the busy time of the year. Big events are coming up soon. It's that time of year, and you get pumped, but then you have, the middle of the summer or the fall where it can kind of like dip a little bit and kind of whatever. But I have run into times before where I felt similar to you, where it's like, okay, like I just feel like I'm watching this because I have to. as opposed to, hey, I'm watching this because I loved it, like I want to type stuff.
Right.
And that's when sometimes, yeah, maybe you take a week off, or if you need a month or whatever, or you just kind of say, hey, you know what? I'm not watching this to talk about it or report on it over the weekend. I'm watching this to just kind of sit here and be a fan and just kind of enjoy the show kind of thing.
Yeah. And,
So,
I could have just taken a week, but it was starting to affect me to the point where I was like, yeah, it's getting bad. And I had legitimately not taken a break, gosh, for years,
oh,
like an
yeah.
actual break. And I'm saying even probably before AEW even started. So I'm talking a good
Oh, yeah.
6 to 7 years of just straight watching WWE every week,
Mm-hmm.
even though I hated most of it. I just don't understand why I kept watching it. And then then I had a job covering WWE at Cage Side Seats, so I had to watch it because I was getting paid to watch it. Still not really enjoying it that much, but a job's a job. And then AEW came around, of course, and I really got into that, and it was just this this past year was a lot personally, and I got into November, and then like, okay, yeah, it's sad. It was. You know what? I'm gonna peel behind the curtain. Honestly, I'm gonna give you the real deal. There were times when Collision was over, and I had to do, I do the Fightful Collision
Oh,
post
yeah.
show. I hadn't even watched Dynamite yet that week.
Yeah.
And I had to skim through a Dynamite before we started our show on Sunday morning. And that's when I knew, okay, it's time to take a break.
Yeah. Yeah. If you are here, give us a thumbs up on the page there. Hit that bell for notifications so you can get all the notifications when we go live here at Love Wrestling on YouTube.
Yes,
But
that's
we
right.
will
We're on
be
YouTube now.
we're on YouTube now, new home for us. We have made the switch over from Twitch to the YouTube. So we, from here on out, will be on this very channel, youtube.com/Love Wrestling CA, every Sunday morning at 10 a.m. But hit that like button. We're looking for as many likes as we can. That helps us out with the algorithm. It gets more people to have eyes on us. So any love, any likes, any shares, we would appreciate. Dash is asking, what are your guys' thoughts on Ring of Honor these days? So not so much AEW, but here's my thing is I don't pay for Honor Club.
Neither do I.
So, I usually I will order the pay-per-views because the pay-per-views are usually pretty damn good. I will order those. I watch those. I see the clips on the social medias and stuff like that. But I do not from what I garner from the people that I know that watch Ring of Honor, it's getting better. It's getting better. But yeah, I don't pay for Honor Club, so I don't watch it regularly. I would like to, but I think it just needs to be a little bit easier for me to access the Ring of Honor a little bit. But I will tell you this, the Ring of Honor Women's Champion, Athena,
Mm.
is probably the best champion. Well, I would say her and Gunther are probably the two best booked champions of the last year plus of what's going on in all of North American professional wrestling. Athena has been, and she got a little shout out from Swerve last night.
Yes.
But Athena has been killing it on Ring of Honor, and she's been carrying that program and carrying that company for the better half of over a
Absolutely.
year here. So, but in general, I don't watch it weekly because I don't pay for Honor Club. So I feel like I am not someone who can properly give an opinion. I would like to watch it more. I like the roster they have, but I feel like, and I think this is something that people who are diehard Ring of Honor people complain about, is I get to see all their champions and all their belts defended on AEW all the time. So I guess
Right.
why do I have to spend the extra $10 or whatever it is to get Honor Club when all the big matches, besides Athena, all the big matches seem to happen on AEW television that I can see anyway? You know what I mean? That's kind of...
Yeah, it's really unfortunate too, because when it was announced that Ring of Honor was going to start weekly TV again, I had even talked to you about, hey, maybe I feel like it's almost natural for us to be a Ring of Honor podcast also, do firmly AEW and do a Ring of Honor thing also.
Yeah.
But very quickly, and I don't think it was Tony Khan's intention, obviously,
No.
to make people feel this way, but very quickly it seemed that Ring of Honor weekly television show felt like another version of AEW Dark, in a sense.
And Dash just called it AEW Light in the comments, and I think AEW Dark makes sense. Like that's again, I don't watch the weekly shows all the time, so I can't judge it, but that's the vibe that I get. They tape it before or after Dynamite or Collision, so it's in the same arenas that AEW is in a lot of the times. It just feels like it's become that. It feels like, any of the big championship like I said, with the exception of Athena, they've kept Athena's title reign.
Yes,
on
Athena
Ring of Honor.
is fully Ring of Honor.
Yes, but Samoa Joe being the TV champion for however long, all his defenses, or most of his defenses besides the pay-per-views, from what I understand, were on AEW television. Eddie Kingston is the current Ring of Honor World Champion, is he not?
Yes.
Okay. He fought last night on AEW Collision. Did he? I don't know the last time. Again, I'm not the right guy to ask, but I don't know the last time he defended.
We missed, I believe the whole
we missed the culmination.
Classic happened.
We missed the culmination. Yeah, we missed the culmination of it. I think we were around for the beginning of it, but which I thought
maybe like the first week or so.
We can dive into this if we want, because I love the Continental Classic. I thought it was excellent, but I also thought, as positive as it was, I thought it was a detriment to AEW as well. And I say this, the Continental Classic, I think as a totality, was a very good thing for AEW. I think it got it back to its roots. It got it back to, hey, this is weird. We are built on great wrestling matches, good stories, and that's it. Like, that's what we are, right? But I did feel like World's End, even though I thought World's End was a good pay-per-view, and you were there, I thought World's End was a good pay-per-view, but I thought besides the Continental Classic and the Devil stuff, there was a lack of stories, like really, really good stories of a lot of the other matches that happened in the content on that pay-per-view. And I think it was strictly because you had...
Well, besides Adam Copeland and Christian, too.
Well, yeah, Adam Copeland and Christian, duh. You had that. You had the Devil stuff with MJF. And then you had the stories within the Continental Classic. But I just thought, because so many people were involved with the Continental Classic, there weren't a lot of secondary stories happening. And that's why World's End, for some people, fell a little flat in total. And I think it was because there was a lack of stories because the Continental Classic was happening. Again, I think in totality, the Continental Classic was a very good thing for AEW. And we're going to talk about this at greater length today, I hope too. But I'm hoping next year we get a women's one, because they have, Drew, they're not, we, along with a lot of people, the thing that we have complained about the most on this show was the treatment of the women's division in AEW. And I will make an argument that the last month to month and a half, the women's division has arguably been the best part of watching AEW television.
I can't disagree with you there.
So, we'll shit on them when we need to shit on them, but I'm going to give them a little bit of good stuff when we got to give them some good stuff. And there's still some ways to go. Last night on Collision, there were two ladies matches. On
Yes, that's
Collision
been happening more
night.
Frequently.
It's been happening more frequently. I think, Deonna Purrazzo has shot life into the women's division immediately.
Oh, yes.
There's rumors that someone very, very big will be debuting next month in March, maybe in Boston, when I get to be there, hopefully, too.
I'm jealous.
Quite excellent.
Very jealous of you.
the focus that has been put on the women's division in AEW has been a bright spot for me, and it's been something that I'm feeling very good and positive about moving forward, and I feel like it's made the programs in their I'm using the word totality a lot. I don't know why. But I feel
That's
like the
okay.
programs in their totality have been better programs, and they've been an easier watch now that the women are being involved more, and like you can actually see the care in the women's division.
Yeah, it isn't just with 2 matches on a show.
Mm-hmm.
There you can see stories developing outside of title pictures, and
Yep.
that's exciting because that's something that the women's division AEW was lacking. It was always just, oh, here's somebody going after the TBS title, and here's somebody going after the main women's title, and that was it.
Mm-hmm.
But more things are being developed now. You've got the side Mariah May even, she
Yep.
came in while we were gone,
Yep.
and very quickly she's becoming one of my favorites.
Oh yeah.
Like
And the
the
story
whole
that they're eventually going to get to with her and Tony is that's going to be a big payoff, and it's going to be good.
the way that they're presenting Tony Storm at the moment with the side characters of Luther as the butler, which is just phenomenal,
Mm-hmm.
and Mariah May as like I don't know, you could call her like Tony Storm's assistant in a
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
But the assistant that is clearly head and shoulders above in storyline, head and shoulders above the person who thinks that they're better than her. Like it's and for me to think that about somebody brand new that I had never seen prior
Yeah.
to them showing up in AEW
Yeah.
is pretty incredible,
It
honestly.
is big time.
And that whole presentation and bringing in Deanna Perrazzo, who I also never really saw much of before her coming into AEW.
I'll tell you what. You know who's impressed me? We saw her last night, Queen Aminata.
Another name, yes. Another
She has
name
been very
signed.
impressive.
They have like assigned and put on TV 3 women during our time off. Mariah May, Deanna Perrazzo, Queen Aminata, and all of them are excelling,
Mm-hmm.
honestly. Like, the match last night with Serena Deeb was excellent.
And having Serena Deeb come back too, come
Serena
back
yeah,
healthy.
so, yes,
Her
that's
like
4 of them.
they're just they have they've always had a talented women's roster. And now you add in these people coming back or bringing them over. And then if you got Mercedes in your back pocket coming in a month too, like that's just, you know, I don't know. I don't know what finally made them kind of flip the switch a little bit and be like, okay, let's take this seriously. But ever since they have, it has been very refreshing. It has been very refreshing to say the least. And I know it's something
Agreed.
that a lot of us, but here on this show, we have been pining for a long, long time. And it seems to be that they're going in the right direction when it comes to the women's division in total. Dash saying that Tony Storm has the best character going in AEW today. You are not wrong. I would say her. You mentioned Swerve earlier. I mean, she's in the small discussion of best things that have been on AEW in a while. In a while. Yeah, man, it's really good. So, all right. So before we dive into the week stuff, because we do need to talk about the couple shows here. But you were in attendance. I know it's a while ago. For the culmination of what we were talking about, the majority of last year, which the Devil storyline. We haven't seen MJF since, but the Devil was revealed. Samoa Joe is now the AEW World Heavyweight Champion. Just current state. I mean, how did you feel about the Devil being Adam Cole? In the moment, in the arena, how did it come off? I thought it came off very well. I thought the actual turn was done very, very well. But we really haven't talked about it on air. So like, how did the turn come off in the building to you? And then just how you feeling about current state AEW as a whole I almost said totality again. As a whole, before we start diving into like actually the shows that happened this past week.
So in the building for that turn, it was really awesome, honestly, because they were kind of able to keep it dark enough to where you really couldn't see that moment was happening of Adam Cole sitting in the chair. Because it happened pretty quickly. Usually, like, when the lights go out, they're out for, like, a good 10, 15 seconds. It felt like the lights were out, and then immediately they came back on, and there it was, and it was really great. Now, I didn't have great seats for, it was, like, the first time that I went to a show, and I genuinely did not like my seats, what that I picked. Um, so for the main event, I actually moved to a better angle. And I'm glad that I did
Yeah.
because it gave me a better vantage point of everything. And I have to say, now the reveal was great,
Yes.
but the way the match ended felt weird because it seemed like it came out of nowhere.
It's fair.
And that's not necessarily a bad thing, but I genuinely didn't know what was going to happen as we had been talking about leading up to December.
Oh yeah.
Like, this could go any way. We genuinely don't know what's going to happen. And of course, we found out that MJF was working hurt.
Yeah. Very hurt.
Um, so the most logical thing that we fantasy booked was Adam Cole is going to be out there in some capacity, and he's going to turn on MJF, and Samoa Joe is going to win. But it didn't end up that way. And like I said in the beginning, my fantasy booking was affecting the way that I was viewing AEW
Yeah.
because I moved primarily from where I was because I wanted to see what I thought was going to be how I booked it,
Yeah.
of like Britt Baker being involved and her being on the Tron, and I couldn't see the Tron from where I was sitting at all. So, and then Adam Cole was out there for the whole match. He came out with MJF. I was like, oh, okay. How is this gonna work out? Is he gonna like fake the injury, reveal that the injury was faked? You know, get in the ring, do something, hit him with a crutch, and none of that happened.
Yeah.
And the match just ended with Samoa Joe choking out MJF. I was like, oh, okay. And that I felt was that like it was a little bit of like chatter amongst people that were there, like, oh, okay, I guess it's over. Because people, there was like, huh, like that type of reaction from people that were around me.
Yeah.
Um, and then of course the lights went out, and then we knew what was going to happen.
Oh, for sure.
And I liked the way that they did the reveal, though. It wasn't the way that I thought it was going to be, but I did enjoy them looking like they were about to hit Adam Cole with the chair while
Yeah.
MJF was watching, and then lights go out. All of a sudden, now they come back on. MJF sees Adam Cole is sitting in the chair, smiling,
Yeah.
with the devil's minions surrounding him. And I really liked that presentation a lot.
Yeah.
And that went over well in the building too. Um, Now to the state of AEW in totality.
Well, we got Spencer in the chat, just popped in, said what's going on, and our buddy Omar saying what's good, JPJ and Determined Drew.
Hello, my
good
friends.
to see you guys. Thanks for hopping in. Give a little thumbs up on this video if you haven't already, guys. We would appreciate that. But yes, the current state in totality
Our new
That going to be
favorite
the new
word.
word of the podcast, totality? Is that we're just going to use that every week now?
Oh,
I
hey,
don't know why all of a sudden. I've
we
never
can
used that on this podcast before this moment today, but today I've used it like 6 times. I'm just like,
totally
totality.
AEW, I guess we're
Yeah,
changing our name.
exactly. Yeah. But yes, current state. How are you feeling about everything? Because I as we're into the new year, they're prepping up. We got Revolution coming up here in a little bit under a month. Just current. Yeah, how you feeling? Current state.
I will say that starting the year.
Oh, Spencer, the likes goal today. We're at 6 right now. So I'll say we'll start with a mod. Yeah, we like to do likes goals. I'll say a modest 10, but I would really be pushing for 15 if we could get 15.
Oh, that's
but
right, because we are on YouTube and they have likes.
We're on YouTube now, so we get likes. So we have likes goals. So I would say it's our first week back.
We used to this.
I know we haven't been around for a few months. I'll say I'll do it at 10. We're at 6. We're a half hour in. Ideally 10 would be good, but 15 would be lovely. But go ahead. All right. Sorry, Drew. Current state.
I think MJF needed to go away.
We already hit 10, so there we go.
Oh, awesome. Now let's get 15.
Yeah, let's get 15, and then we can get 20, and then we just keep going. We'll just keep going. Yeah.
MJF needed to go, I think.
It was becoming oversaturated.
He was.
And towards the end, big time. And we're big pro MJF guys, obviously.
I fucking love that guy.
Yeah.
First curse of YouTube.
It's okay. We're past the 10-minute mark. It's all good.
Okay, great. Wonderful.
We're good.
I love MJF. And I even saw it in a lot of other wrestling fans too, which is why I was saying like, oh, my watching the product is being affected by other people's opinions.
Mm-hmm.
He needed to go because I don't want to say appeal. I don't feel like that's the right word, but I'm going to use it. I feel like his appeal is not wrestling 2 to 3 times a week. Like how we were introduced to MJF was basically him wrestling on a Roman Reigns schedule.
Yeah.
Current
he was
Roman
there
Reigns.
every week, but he only wrestled,
not even there every week.
Yeah.
Sometimes. Yeah, when it came to the wrestling, it was like big, pay-per-view schedule and talking on TV.
Mm-hmm.
And when the babyface stuff started, now, and of course, it was being done specifically because Adam Cole wanted to wear him down. Yes. So it was storyline and understandable because how do you wear down MJF? You make him wrestle more. Mm-hmm. Something that he doesn't normally do. And I remember at some point in late September, mid-October range, he was wrestling on TV sometimes twice a week. AEW, Dynamite and Collision, mm-hmm. or a Dynamite and pay-per-view.
Yep. And then he was wrestling twice on some of these pay-per-views. He would be on the pre-show and then in the main event. Yes. And,
And oversaturation, perfect word for it, honestly. Because it was getting to a point where people just didn't want to see him anymore. Like I was seeing, and sometimes in bad faith too, because as social media is, there's a lot of bad faith posters out there. But it was bleeding more into my timeline of people mm-hmm. just going, it's time for a new champion. Don't want to see MJF as champion anymore. Seeing him too much, wrestling too much. And again, like I said, that was the story. He was supposed to be wrestling too much because he was supposed to be getting worn down.
Yep.
But I think Samoa Joe being the champion right now is the right call. Because I think that him being champion now has changed the landscape of the top card of the men's division. Because people are fucking afraid of Samoa Joe.
Yeah, 100%.
And it's, I think, refreshing to see Samoa Joe come out and just be a complete asshole to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
He's on commentary now for some matches as champion, which I mean, he has commentary experience already, and I love
Yes,
him
he
on
does.
commentary.
Yeah.
But I like the way that the champion is providing commentary on the matches of people who want to fight him for the championship.
Yeah.
I think that that's a really cool thing that we don't usually get to see, because it's not like one time. He's been on commentary like 3 times now,
Yeah.
or 4 times even.
Yeah, it's been a few times, quite a few times.
Yeah, and I like it. I like it a lot. So I think that going into World's End, AEW was kind of stagnant a bit.
Mhm.
They were really like pushing the devil storyline, and I know that, injuries and other things going on in the company probably affected that. So I understand that it had to happen the way that it happened. Um, but it was really time for MJF to step aside for a little bit. Time for the devil storyline to finally come to its conclusion. Here's the guy, which we all knew was Adam Cole. And then the interesting twist of, okay, Roddy was in on it, and the next thing was fake, and we all knew the next thing was fake also.
Yep.
And Matt Taven and Mike Bennett also were in on it.
Mhm.
And Wardlow was in on it too. And I mean, you kind of got an inkling that it was Wardlow leading up to it, because he was the other person who really wanted MJF to be put down. So that was, I felt that the Wardlow reveal of the whole thing was interesting, because let's be honest, ever since the match between him and MJF, I don't remember what pay-per-view it was.
I think it was last year's Revolution, wasn't it? No, was it Double or Nothing? It was one of them.
It may have been Double. It was Double or Nothing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wardlow's just been floundering around doing nothing.
Mhm.
And he lost a lot of his
Yeah, and I don't even think it's an argument, but MJF was responsible,
right? Yeah,
for a lot of that, because the whole story, that was supposed to be Wardlow had finally broken away from MJF. He was over as hell, Wardlow, with the Powerbomb Symphony and all that stuff, and he was supposed to have that match with MJF, but the whole plane ticket thing and MJF, saying he was going to leave and he was unhappy. Then they have the match. Wardlow squashes MJF immediately. And then
got a good reaction to that.
Yeah. But then the following Dynamite, what's the big story coming out of that? MJF cutting the promo, calling Tony Khan a fucking mark, saying he's leaving. Like, Wardlow had his moment, beat MJF, squashed him, just power bombed him 4 or 5. That was it.
Yeah. MJF got no offense from that at all.
MJF got nothing in that match. And Wardlow squashes him, should be rising to be this big star in the company. But because of the response to it on Dynamite, it's like it never even happened. And the big story is MJF is pissed off and he walked out. And it's like, okay, well, you just made this guy in Wardlow, but now the guy that was supposed to be essential in making Wardlow is stealing the spotlight from Wardlow, because all anybody cares about is, oh, MJF's unhappy. Is he going to go to WWE? Is he going to leave? Is he this? He called I'm keep on saying Tony Mark. He called Tony Khan a effing mark and all this. And it was like, okay. And Wardlow never recovered. They gave him the TNT title a couple times. They gave him he never recovered. He never got back to the level he was before that match.
I enjoyed his little back and forth with Darby and with Samoa Joe at that time, but it really never got back to where it was pre-Double or Nothing match with MJF.
Yeah, it just didn't. So I understand why he's angry, and he had been targeting MJF. They had a couple backstage segments and stuff where he was like, I'm coming for you, and stuff like that. So I
had
thought
like an armband that said MJF on it too.
Yeah. Yes, he did. So like, it made sense why Wardlow would want to go after MJF. It made sense why Wardlow would potentially want to join this group with Adam Cole, because the story is we're ruining MJF. And they cut that first promo after the reveal, and Adam Cole says, "Hey man, we're going to take over. Roddy's going to go win the international title from OC. We got the Ring of Honor tag team championships here." And he goes, "And Wardlow is going to beat Samoa Joe and become the AEW heavyweight champion. And when I'm healthy enough, he's going to hand that title over to me."
Yeah, that
and
part's interesting.
And Wardlow's standing behind him, and you can see the facial expressions. And Wardlow's like, "Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's what you think's going to happen. That shit ain't happening. No, that ain't happening that way. Yeah. But yeah, go ahead. It's fine. I'll play along. That's fine." So again, and we're going to talk about it because Wardlow had a match on Dynamite, and it looked like Wardlow might have got hurt during that match on Dynamite. Yeah. So we'll talk about that because we're going to dive into the shows here. But
so to the state of AEW, to finish that off.
Yeah.
I think with the help of the women's division, AEW is looking pretty damn good right now.
I agree.
I think it came out of 2023 stagnant and directionless in some sense. Mm-hmm. But I think that there's a purpose now. It feels like there's a purpose with these shows. They feel more well put together.
Yeah.
And while both of us weren't really that much fans of Dynamite this week.
Mid. In the words of MJF, I thought Dynamite this past week was mid.
Collision was very good.
Collision was very good. I enjoyed Collision.
And I think that the outside of AEW wrestling news is kind of...
Yeah.
We just used the word oversaturate and regarding MJF.
Yeah.
I think that news is oversaturating times infinity.
Yes, I feel
space right
the last few weeks in WWE, the news and just everything that's going on, that has definitely been the main focus of the IWC, the wrestling people, the people that cover wrestling. There's been some big stuff going on the last few weeks over there, and I do feel like a lot of the eyeballs have been over there, rightly so, for everything that's going on over there. But that's for a different show. But I do agree with you in general. I do feel like I'm feeling good about the direction AEW is in and where they're going. And I thought Collision last night, which we'll talk about second here, but I thought Collision last night was a very, very good show. And again, there were things on Dynamite that I liked. I just thought, for what I've seen the last month or so, I just thought Dynamite was kind of blah this week. That's just kind of what I do. And we're going to get into it. Hey, we got Bebe in the chat saying, "Just saw you guys pop up on my feed. I thought y'all quit." No, we didn't. We needed some time away.
No, I needed to quit for the month of December.
Yeah, exactly. We needed, the holidays, real life, stuff like that. We needed a little bit of a break, but we're back. We're better than ever. New graphics, new home on YouTube here with Love Wrestling, new intro video. We're back. We're back in a big, big way. If you are here and you haven't yet, click that thumbs up. Give us some love on there. Make sure you tap the bell for notifications so you can see all the great shows that we do here. Thursday nights, obviously, me and Pluggo with Between Two Beards will be here every Sunday at 10 a.m. A little bit later, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and every Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we have the brunch gimmick. Then we do reacts tonight after NXT Vengeance Day. Me and Pluggo, and I think there might be one or two others joining us. We're going to be doing reacts for NXT Vengeance Day.
Oh, that's
Spencer
right.
saying
Vengeance Day.
Tonight is Vengeance Day. Spencer saying, "Just launched our scramble match from LPW on this very YouTube channel. I was in attendance for LPW 22. Hell of a show." And that scramble match started the show, and that scramble match kicked some serious ass. So go check that out. I believe they're doing the brunch gimmick live from the all-women's wrestling show, Lufisto's wrestling show that she's doing up there. I believe so. I might be crazy. Spencer could probably confirm in the chat, but I think that's what's happening today. We do a lot of good things here. We release matches all the time. We have shorts. We have interviews. Go over to patreon.com/Love Wrestling. You'll get the LPW show for LPW 23, Slamboat Willie. coming up here on the 23rd of February. They eventually make it to YouTube, but if you want to support us a little bit more, you can go to Patreon and you'll get all right, there we go. Zach and Lawrence are dropping in from the show, but Blair, Pluggo, and Spencer are holding down the fort. So Blair, Pluggo, and Spencer will be doing the brunch gimmick, but Zach and Lawrence will be stomping in from the all-women's syndicate show that's happening up there in the Canada. But all right, let's do it, Drew. We've been chatting for 45 minutes here. Let's dive in. We'll start with Dynamite because I feel like we can probably get through that quicker because I'm going to be honest with you, not a ton of shit happened. But
I don't remember.
I felt like it was this. I felt like it was senior week. I felt like it was senior citizen week over on the Dynamite. Jeff Hardy, Rob Van Dam. There was another old Jericho. I just felt like I was like,
man,
we're not gonna.
That's another thing that happened while we were gone.
Yes, it happened. I'm sure you can understand where me and Drew feel about it. I feel like Chris Jericho should have gone away for a little bit, but I kind of feel like they're purposefully putting him on every week now. That's the vibe that I get.
It
is that they heard that and they went, no, we're just going to throw him at you every week now.
I don't know. I don't know if it's
like,
that. Okay. It could be. There's no confirming that, of course, but I'm just tired of Chris Jericho.
Yeah, and again, this has nothing to do with Kyle Fletcher because I think Kyle Fletcher could be the future of AEW and one of the important.
They actually, I enjoyed the match,
and the match was good. But why do I need to see a 2.5, 3 segment match with Chris Jericho? I don't need to see that. I just don't need to see it.
And Chris Jericho winning.
It's just
what?
But all right, I know it's very bizarre. It's very
bizarre. I am so now the bits and pieces are going to come back as we talk about the show because now I remember I was watching and Chris Jericho comes out and the Judas thing is going on and I'm just like, let's just stop this shit already. Can somebody just come out and interrupt this shit already? Can we stop every single time they go through the whole damn song every week? Can we just stop this now? Somebody interrupt this.
My cat's trying to get in it.
Yeah, it's like listen. When I was at World's End and he came out, I didn't sing that fucking song. I don't sing the song anymore. I know the words to it, but I'm not singing it anymore.
Yeah,
because I'm just tired of it. It's worn out, beyond worn out. I don't need to see it on TV every single time. They don't have to get to the Judas in my mind every single time and make the crowd sing it. Can somebody please just interrupt this shit already? We have to go through 2.5 fucking minutes of this thing. Can we just get on with it?
Yeah.
So that was in my head when I was watching it on Wednesday. It's like, can Kyle Fletcher just come out, please? We don't have to get through the whole Judas in my mind. Please, let's just do this. And then when Jericho won, like, what the fuck? Why are we doing this? This is Kyle Fletcher. He's the Ring of Honor Pure Champion right now. Let's not do this. We were just talking. You're going to see Ring of Honor's champions on AEW more than the Ring of Honor.
Yeah, losing.
We got, and while I love the Bang Bang Scissor Gang thing, listen, the Bullet Club Gold are the Ring of Honor
Trios champions,
and now they're going to be on TV on AEW more than Ring of Honor too. It's it's annoying,
and
not to say that anybody in Ring of Honor just needs to be on Ring of Honor only, but if you're a champion in Ring of Honor, at least be on Ring of Honor more regularly. This is
I agree.
Why we had that comment before about our opinions on Ring of Honor. We don't watch it because you see all the Ring of Honor stuff on AEW TV. So why am I paying for what is it, $10 a month for Ring of Honor Club? Why am I paying for that? I'm going to see him on AEW TV that I already pay $100 on YouTube TV for. So why am I adding an extra expense?
100%. Another quick thing that happened And we are starting to talk about Dynamite, but they brought the rankings back, Drew. They brought the rankings back.
That's a huge, huge positive for this company.
Yeah, I have them here. I think we'll be able to talk over them. So, nope, that did not go well. All right, that did not go well. I put him in the wrong spot. Hold on, Lou's up here now. Lou's causing a ruckus. I'm blaming Lou for that. Hold on, timeout. Let me see. Let me try to do that again. Hold on, wait, Lou. Hey, how you doing? Yeah, okay. You making sure I'm doing things right? Yeah. You want to look up here? Want to say hi to the people? But the rankings are back. I gotta move you, buddy. I gotta move you. See you later, bub. Anyway. All right, let's see if this one works. Hey, all right, we did it. Hey, right. We are here. All right. So these are the rankings heading into this week. How do you feel that they're doing it, that they're kind of grouping the champions together instead of like, you know what I mean? So they got the
way
so you got your 4 men's champions.
This is kind of like the first time I'm really studying this and looking at this.
Yeah.
So
this is as of January 31st, 2024. So as of the last week, 5 days.
So this means now that the contenders can go after any of those titles.
That correct.
Okay.
So we have obviously, yeah. You have your Samoa Joe, your Christian Cage, your Orange Cassidy, and Eddie Kingston. Those are the 4 main men's single champions. You got your top 5 right there. You got your women's world champ and your TBS champ. You got your top 5 right there. You got your tag and you got your trios. So this is how they're presenting it.
I don't hate that actually, because
I don't hate it either.
I think it actually helps them because it can. I think when there was a ranking for every title, I think it kind of put them in a corner a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So seeing it as okay, the top. Who's number 1 for the men's?
Swerve is 1. I believe Hangman is 2.
Swerve can go after.
Yeah, we got Swerve 1, Hangman 2, Adam Copeland 3, Jon Moxley 4, Roderick Strong rounding out the top 5 contenders on the men's side.
Yeah, I think that's helpful because all of the champions can be in programs with all of the people in the top 5, and whoever gets the number 1 slot just selects the champion that they're feuding with. I don't hate that.
Yep, agreed. So that's something that has come back. So that'll be something to keep an eye on. And when they update them, we'll update them on here as we talk through it and stuff like that. But I thought that was very good that the rankings were coming back. That kind of made me be like, hell yeah.
That's a big part of and I'm specifically mentioning in our Collision review something regarding the rankings that I think.
All right, I love it.
Is the reason why it feels so rejuvenated on TV right now.
All right, let's dive into Dynamite. I think we'll probably get through this episode rather quickly, and then we can dive into Collision. But the show started off with Jon Moxley versus Jeff Hardy on a one-on-one match. I thought this match was fine. I thought Jeff Hardy looked pretty good in this match. You know what you're going to get from Moxley.
He's been on. So the Hardys have been on TV more consistently ever since they started complaining about them only being on Rampage or whatever.
And it feels like they're going a heel route. They're going they got an attitude now. At the end of the match, Moxley wins, and at the end of the match, he puts his hand out to kind of respect Jeff Hardy, and Jeff Hardy gave him the go screw, get out of here type thing. So it seems like the Hardy Boys have a little bit of an attitude to them, which I like. I
like that too.
And I liked when they were for, they're kind of giving shit because now Private Party is back because Mark Quinn is healthy, which is good to see. And I like the attitude because obviously Matt Hardy had been a mentor to them and stuff like that. And Isaiah had been with Hardy while Mark Quinn was out. And I do like the Hardy Boys, kind of giving them little digs like, oh, you'll never be as big as us, or you're not like us or anything like that. I think they can build to a little neat story if they want to have like a grander feud with Private Party and the Hardys. I think that'll be something that could be fun. But again, I thought the match was solid. Really what happened after the match is, they have a relationship now with CMLL, which is cool. And they had a bunch of the CMLL wrestlers ringside. After the match, they just get in the ring and start beating the crap out of Jon Moxley. They just start attacking Jon Moxley. And
this is another thing I'm going to address during a Collision review.
Yeah. So they start attacking Jon Moxley, and the BCC doesn't come out and save Jon Moxley. 2.0, Matt Sydal and Christopher Daniels are the guys that run out, and they run off the CMLL guys, and that's kind of how this segment ends. And we know that, which we'll talk about, but we find out that on Collision, what happened last night, Bryan Danielson is fighting one of these fellas, which he did last night, which we'll talk about. But it seems like they're going the BCC. And then on this Dynamite coming up, there's a trios match where it's the BCC versus the CMLL guys. So it seems, they're kind of, yeah. So I thought I understand what they're doing. I just thought it was a little odd.
Yeah.
Like, why wouldn't the BCC come out and save Moxley? Why was it just kind of this ragtag group of like, hey, get out there, Matt Sydal?
Yeah,
like, what the hell? What are we doing? But anyway, I digress. But I thought overall the Moxley Hardy match was fine. We then have, and you want to talk about something I'm enjoying. We then have Nicholas and Matthew Jackson arriving to the arena. I love it. Drew, love it.
This is
everything they're doing. I love
everything that is perfect about Matthew and Nicholas.
Matthew and Nicholas.
Please don't find me. I apologize.
Call them by their birth names, please.
I love this because they are now officially just going full assholes and playing up what everybody says about them. And they're like, you know what? Yeah, we're the EVPs. We find people. We run shit back here. We're timing out the shows. We're doing this. We're doing that. It's perfect. I love it.
Great.
I genuinely love it. They're coming back with these like little thin mustaches.
The mustaches. They're wearing the suits. They got the hats. All of it.
I love it. I absolutely love it.
It's fantastic. Do you think the thin mustaches are a dig at Vince? Because Vince had the mustache.
I did not think about that.
Again, not anything serious, obviously, but like when I saw them with the thin mustaches, I was like, are they like doing that because Vince had I don't know, but either way, they show up, they're in a stretch limousine, and basically the whole thing is they weren't addressed properly by the stagehand that went up there, and they fined him because they're EVPs. So don't disrespect the Young Bucks is the real thing. We then had Wardlow going against Commander. This is what you would expect. Commander hit a couple high-flying moves because he is good at that stuff.
This started a trend of, oh yeah, that person's winning. Let's move on.
Yeah, exactly.
Because that happened a few times on the show.
Yeah, I think honestly, the big story coming out of this is it looked like Wardlow genuinely might have hurt himself during this match, during one of the power bombs.
Yeah.
It looks like one of his something on one of his legs
was kind of sloppy, to be honest.
Yeah, it was just, they
didn't seem like they clicked at all.
No, but Wardlow wins. After the match, Roderick Strong and the gang get in there. Roderick wants to do further damage, like he wants to beat up Commander and just beat the crap out of him. But Orange Cassidy comes out and the group kind of exits the ring. Obviously, we're heading towards Revolution. It will be Roderick Strong versus OC. I don't like when wrestlers do this, but Parrish is in the chat. How we doing, Parrish? Hope you're doing well, my friend. Roderick Strong had an opportunity to beat OC for that title when OC was kind of beaten down and tired like a couple weeks ago. And Roderick Strong did the wrestling thing, which I don't understand, especially if you're a heel. They did this on the other side of things with Nakamura. where Seth Rollins was ready to fight. He goes, I'll fight you right now after just winning a match and tired and all that stuff. And Nakamura was like, no, I'm going to give you 3 weeks to rest and we'll fight at the pay-per-view. What? What are you talking about? And Roderick Strong did the same thing with OC. OC was ready to go. He was tired. He had just got his ass kicked, but he won. He's ready to fight. Roderick Strong could have easily slid in there fresh, beat OC, won the title. And Roderick Strong's like, no, we're going to fight in 6 weeks at Revolution. Why? Just win the belt.
Yeah, that's
win the
weird.
belt.
That's weird.
I don't know why they do that sometimes, but it's a trope in wrestling that I'm like, that's just bizarre to me. Because even if I'm a good guy, if it's me, I want to win a championship however I have to. Oh, you just fought a match, but you want to fight me for the title? All right, my odds are significantly better of beating you for that belt. I will accept. I'm going to beat the shit out of you and take your belt. Oh, no, I'll give you time to rest. I want to fight you fresh. No. Anyway, but that's my one gripe with Roderick Strong right now. But yeah, we're obviously heading towards Roderick Strong versus OC for the International Championship at Revolution. That match will rule. But yeah, this was like you said, this was we were starting to get to the segments of Dynamite where the matches were happening and we knew everything that was gonna happen. We did have a sit down in the back. Renee Paquette is with Sting and Darby Allin and Ricky Starks and Big Bill. This one, no, I'm sorry, it was Tony Schiavone. It was not Renee Paquette. It was Tony Schiavone doing this. They basically were just hyping up the World Tag Team Championship match, which is happening this Wednesday on Dynamite. It got heated pretty quickly. They were yelling back and forth to each other. It got pretty heated, but this was typical. Let's get everyone excited for the title match that's coming up next week.
Yeah,
type stuff.
Yeah, it's kind of wild that Sting is wrestling.
That Sting is going to be a tag champion in like 4 days.
Yeah, I don't know what Ricky's contract status is.
I believe it's WWE.
He's been, talked about at least amongst everybody of like, oh, he might be one to leave AEW and go to WWE.
Maybe not so much anymore after Friday. But
I mean, how funny is it that
if you're
he's like best friends with Cody?
Yeah, listen,
and the guy that he molded his character after took his spot at WrestleMania.
Literally, if again, and look, this is an AEW show, but if you are an AEW wrestler, and now you're like, hey, WWE is not run by Vince anymore. It seems like a more, there's more opportunity, it seems, there now. And then you see what happened on Friday. That might change your opinion of whether because Cody left, Cody went there, they presented Cody right, and it was like, oh, and that was a lot of the talk. Oh, look how they're presenting Cody. This is showing other AEW people that if you go to WWE, they'll treat you with respect. Will they? Because the last 2 years, they fucked Cody. Anyway, that's for a different show. But like, if you're an AEW person, are you looking at that differently now and going, maybe it's not so much different over there? Because what happened on Friday was a very old school way of WWE fucking shit up. But I digress.
So Sting may very well be AEW Tag Team Champion in the next couple of days.
Yeah. Yeah. Because that's what you would assume, right? The match against the Young Bucks, which is where they're going for the last match at Revolution, that's going to be for the tag titles. That seems to be where I think they're going. It'll be Sting and Darby versus the Young Bucks in Sting's last match for the tag team championships.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, it does, right?
And the way that they've been presenting Matthew and Nicholas Jackson, I think it makes sense for those guys to be the tag champions.
I agree.
So I think the rightful order here is Big Bill and Ricky lose to Sting and Darby Allin, and then Sting's last match at Revolution, he puts over the Young Bucks, and there we go. So I don't hate that, honestly.
No,
I know a lot of people are probably shitting all over that idea, but
I don't know. I don't dislike it.
I don't hate it.
I don't dislike it. Sting he wasn't going to have a singles match. He hasn't had a singles match since he's been back in AEW. He probably, so it makes sense. He's been with Darby the whole time. Give them this little 3-week run as tag champs, put over, and look at, I thought the Young Bucks should have won the tag titles against FTR at All In. I felt like that was the time for them to the Young Bucks haven't been the tag champs in a hot minute. The Young Bucks haven't had a really good run. They need another good run.
Yeah, they haven't been tag champs.
It's been a while.
Over a year.
Yeah, it's been a while. This is an easy
they have
way.
The trios titles with Kenny Omega.
Yes.
So,
but they haven't been.
Kenny Omega is another person who had terrible diverticulitis.
Not great.
And is out now for the foreseeable future.
Yes.
That's just terrible.
Brutal. Yeah. But I think it's an easy way. I think it's an easy way to get the tag belts on the Young Bucks, and then the Young Bucks can have a good little run, because it's been a while since they've had a dominant tag team run. And these characters, these cocky asshole, we run the company characters, is just, it's really, really good. We talked about it a little bit, but then we had Jericho versus Fletcher. Jericho won. Yeah, it happened. Don't know why I got to see Jericho on my TV screen every week, especially after everything that's going on. Like, the storyline with him, like, are we ever getting away from the Don Callis? Like, how long does this need to go? How long does this need to go? The crowd is not interested. Yeah, the crowd is not interested anymore. I'm not interested anymore.
Now he's wrestling Takeshita on Dynamite.
And I was going to say, at the end of this match, Takeshita comes out and confronts Jericho, and on Wednesday, Jericho will be fighting Takeshita. If Jericho beats Takeshita, which he probably friggin' will, that is dumb. That is dumb. But it will probably happen. Yeah. After that match, we had a segment with the Bang Bang Scissor Gang, where everybody was just really, it was a nothing segment for the most part. Like, I felt like there was
got dropped on his head.
Yeah.
That was
I felt like this segment really had no direction. Like, it was just really like a hype, like to get the crowd pumped. Nothing came of it. It wasn't hyping a match. It was just really go out there and get the crowd kind of.
I don't remember what they said.
Yeah, I felt like this was really just a nothing segment. We then had a pretty good match where Deonna Purrazzo defeated Taya Valkyrie. They have made Deonna Purrazzo show up and immediately matter. She's number 1 on those rankings already.
Yes.
In the women's division. She's going to be fighting Toni Storm for the championship. Do you think that she takes it from her immediately? Or do you think Toni retains and Deonna then, like, because she's come in and she's immediately going for the main women's title.
Right.
So do you think they go all the way and they just make, she wins and it's like, okay, this is the new top, because she's obviously talented enough to take over that women's division.
She is being presented as an absolute top women's wrestler.
100%. Sure. As she should be.
She is.
As she should be. Yes.
Yes. Definitely should be. And with Mercedes coming in soon,
because you would think if Mercedes comes in, Mercedes is going to be treated the exact same immediately.
Right. Yeah. Which
top champion, like,
deservedly so. You know what? I feel like the Mariah May thing still has legs to it. I think that's not over yet, the way that they're doing the dynamic between Toni and Mariah.
Yep.
So maybe. Oh, you know what? Could be so. What I can see based off of what's been presented so far, Mariah May is trying to get Toni Storm's attention really badly. She wants her to watch her matches, and she's just not doing it. So potentially, then, what could end up happening is, yeah.
He's like, "Hey, what's going on?
Do you want to speak?"
He's like, "Just want to show everyone my butt." No.
Don't drink my coffee.
He'll be. Is that the boy or the girl?
It's the girl.
She'll be flying off the walls if she drinks your coffee.
She's already doing that without the coffee. So, what I could see happening based off of what's been presented is Mariah May tries to help Toni Storm win at Revolution, but ends up costing Toni Storm in the process. Deonna Purrazzo becomes the champion, and then Revolution is when? That's in like
March 3rd.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh,
March
it's early.
3rd. So I don't. No, it's early. I thought it was March 3rd. I think it's early, beginning of March. So I don't think Mercedes will be coming until after Revolution.
Okay. So probably she'll have a Dynamite debut.
I think the rumor is, they haven't announced it yet, but the rumor is that one of those second or third week Dynamites will be in Boston, and she'll debut in Boston.
Yes, that's the rumor of Tony Khan's big announcement, is the Boston announcement. So, so, all right. So, I'll say maybe that based off of the story right now, until Revolution, Mariah May desperately tries to get Toni Storm to watch a match of hers. And Toni Storm is never going to do it because she probably, you could tell the way that they do this is like, oh, yeah, okay, girl, calm down.
Yeah.
Stop talking.
Yeah.
I don't care. Yeah, she's saying that without saying it. So it would be really cool to see Mariah May be the reason why Toni Storm ended up losing, because she'd been trying to get her attention so badly that it ends up backfiring.
Yeah.
So and then Mercedes comes in, and Mercedes and Deonna, I think, would be one hell of a match.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, again, there's going to be a good amount of time between the beginning of March and the end of May for Double or Nothing. But if you're heading into Double or Nothing and two of your big matches are Mercedes versus Deonna for the women's title, and then you have this backstory of Toni Storm versus Mariah May with their history, and then you got the Julia. You're talking, you could have a Double or Nothing with 3 or 4 significant women's matches with stories that matter. And if you're doing one of these AEW, hey, we're going to have 10, 11 match cards, and 3 or 4 of them are story-driven women's matches, that's what the fuck I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Yes, that's what should be happening. One thing I forgot is they did the dealer's choice thing between Hangman and Swerve. Earlier in the night, which I glossed over, unfortunately, was Hangman. Swerve chose, what was it? Toa Leona? No. Yeah, Toa Leona as Hangman's choice, someone from the Mogul Embassy. They had a pretty solid match, but Hangman won. You knew that was going to happen. Because now
I do like Toa Leona, though.
I do too. Because now we're at the point where, Renee was backstage with Darby Allin again, and she asked him, what was the question? She goes, hey, can you talk about your admiration for Matthew and Nick Jackson? And Darby is kind of like, did they feed you that? Like, what the hell? Like, what kind of question is that? And you find out that the Jacksons the Young Bucks did feed her that line. And then Darby's just kind of like, I'm more focused on the AEW Tag Team Championships.
You could tell, though. You could tell from her face, like she was doing it reluctantly. It's like, oh God, I have to ask this question.
Yeah. We got Bebe saying, I think they'll do Mercedes much like they did Punk, like that announcement kind of thing. So he thinks they won't say, hey, Mercedes is debuting, but in Boston, we're going to have this special Dynamite or whatever. And he goes, what will they call the show? The First Dance? Like, or something like that. I could see Tony doing that. Hey, we're going to do a Dynamite in Boston. It's going to be a big show. It's at the Garden, blah, blah, blah. I don't know what, if you give it a name, or the Boston Brawl or whatever. I don't know. Last time they were in Boston, they did blood and guts. That was the big.
Is there something that is a Mercedes thing that you could?
She used to be called the Boss, but she's not that anymore. You could. I mean, you can make anything. The Boston Brawl. You could do the. You could figure something out if you want to do it that route, or maybe he just says March. I'm just picking a date. It's not a real date, but like it might not be a Wednesday, but March 13th at the Garden, we're having AEW Dynamite, and this, whatever. I don't know.
Money,
but
money matters.
Yeah, money matters. That's a good one.
Oh, money talks.
You could do that.
Money
you
talks.
Could do something like that.
Could do like the final boss.
Yeah.
Something like, I don't know. They could.
You could do like a little quick tagline.
Yeah.
So yeah, they do that thing with Darby, and then we find out, and they were teasing it heavily all night. All night they were teasing it heavily, but we find out that Swerve Strickland's opponent, handpicked by Adam Hangman Page, is none other than the whole effing show, Rob Van Dam, and we also find out that it is a hardcore match.
Yeah,
that's happening on the main
Swerve
event.
Apparently didn't understand that he could also pick a stipulation.
Yes, he did not. He did not pick us. Yes. So the main event of Dynamite was Swerve Strickland versus Rob Van Dam in a hardcore match. Entertaining match. I thought this match was fine and fun. Rob Van Dam can still go. He can still, put on some good stuff,
So I will analyze this a little critically. While I do really agree with you that Rob Van Dam can still go 100%.
Should he be in the main event of a Dynamite, though?
Should Rob Van Dam be main eventing Dynamite?
Yeah.
Not only should Rob Van Dam be main eventing Dynamite, but why is Hangman Adam Page, with a long list of people available to him, pick Rob Van Dam to face Swerve?
Yeah.
I didn't hate the match. Rob Van Dam's really good.
Yep.
But with all of the older people on the show already, with Jeff Hardy, and who else was on the show? Chris Jericho
wrestled. You had Jeff Hardy, you had Jericho, you had Rob Van Dam.
Yeah, it's like littering the show.
Oh, we got Spencer saying one more like and we'll be at our 15.
Hey.
So, tell your friends, if you haven't hit the like button yet, hit the like button. We're trying to get to 15. That's the goal. On my YouTube, it says we're already there at 15. Oh, no, we're at 14. That's true. All right. But, yes. Continue.
So, yes. I thought, they were, obviously it was Rob Van Dam, but I thought that the better option would have been Bishop Khan. If Hangman, if Swerve said, "Oh, you're going to face Toa Liona," then
I give him one of his own guys.
And it also would have played into the story that they told on Collision, that we're going to talk about soon, of Swerve not wanting interference.
Yeah.
So I felt like it would have been a better thing to do, where you go, okay, as Hangman Page goes, "Oh, okay, you're going to make me wrestle Toa Liona. I'm going to make you wrestle Bishop Khan."
Yeah, that would have been fun.
Obviously, Bishop Khan does not have the notoriety and the fame in wrestling as RVD does. I get that.
Mm-hmm.
But to further that story that they were going to tell on Collision, I feel like it would have just made more sense for it to be Bishop Khan. Or Brian Cage, even.
Yeah, I agree. But after this match, which Swerve won, obviously. After this match, Hangman and Swerve agreed to fight one more time. And they're going to be fighting this week on Dynamite. And the winner of that match will then go on to challenge Samoa Joe for the world heavyweight.
By the way, see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Look at our cats. We're like, hey, guys, we're here. We're here.
And now you made me lose my train of thought. I forgot what I was going to say now. Crap. You continue. Maybe I'll...
Yeah, well, I was just going to say we're going to get Swerve and Hangman one more time. And as we're diving into the Collision now, but Swerve, like you mentioned, said no interferences. I don't want Hangman to have any damn excuses. It's going to be one-on-one, and I'm going to beat him again because he can't beat me. And I'm going to go then beat Samoa Joe. So that's kind of where we're at. I'm not complaining about seeing Swerve and Hangman go at it one more time, let me tell you. So
Oh no, definitely not.
it should be good. I wouldn't mind it turning into a triple threat somehow. I think that would be like a lot of fun. But we'll dive in to Collision now as we move over. So Collision was last night. I thought it was a very good show. The show started off with a very, very good match between Eddie Kingston and Brian Keith. Excellent match. Excellent match. Eddie Kingston obviously defeated Brian Keith, but kind of a really cool moment after the match. Tony Schiavone gets in the ring and he reveals in front of the Texas crowd. Now, is Brian Keith from Texas or has he just wrestled in Texas a lot?
I'm pretty sure.
He's from
Texas. I believe he's from Texas. Yeah.
Okay. Well, he announces in front of the Texas crowd that Brian Keith is now All Elite. And you can see Eddie Kingston in the ring with him, pure joy, gives him a handshake and a hug. You can see the emotion on Brian Keith's face. I don't know if he genuinely didn't know that was happening or not. It seemed like he didn't. It seemed like that was an in the moment reaction of like, holy shit. Okay,
yeah.
Good.
Last night on the Fightful Collision post show, Sean popped in.
Okay.
A rare Sean appearance on the Fightful Collision post show and said that Brian Keith did not know that was happening.
So that was a genuine emotional response from him. You could see how like happy Tony Schiavone was in the moment. You could see how happy Eddie Kingston was in the moment. And then right after, like while this is still going on, we hear Bryan Danielson's music. And Bryan Danielson comes out because they're still playing up the him and Eddie Kingston thing, which I like. But then even Bryan Danielson gets in the ring and he shakes Brian Keith's hands and he raises his arm and gives him like, hey, good for this guy.
While still completely ignoring Eddie Kingston.
While not even paying attention to Eddie Kingston, which is brilliant.
I love it.
I just thought that the match was excellent. A very cool moment for Brian Keith. I'm excited to watch Brian Keith more because I am not one of those people who saw a ton of his work, but I knew I knew the reputation that came with him. So I'm excited to be able to see him more because I've enjoyed what I've seen on AEW.
Yeah, I think he has like this aura that draws you in, and it really was evident watching the match last night. Because he's got this like fighting nature, and this is like his third match, I think, right?
Yeah, third or fourth. Yeah.
You know, like when he was like really kicking out and when with the chops and everything, just screaming back in Eddie's face.
Yeah.
I thought that all of that played particularly well into the announcement, his fighting nature, because it shows that AEW fans love watching that type of a wrestler. So to have that wrestler be signed and to do that in front of the crowd, I thought that was perfect.
Yeah. We got Bebe in the chat asking, he says, I always wonder about these kind of moments. If the wrestler doesn't know about being All Elite, then doesn't that mean a contract has not been signed? I'm sure there's an agreement that he has a, you know, I'm sure it was a show by show thing. Hey, we want to use you on the show. Here's your money. You know, here's your pay or whatever. But we're.
I don't think that he was working unsigned.
Yes,
but I
don't think he was working under official contract.
Like an official contract.
So they probably had, hey, we want to use you for 5 appearances. Blah, 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 like one of those things. I would assume. I have no idea. I don't know how these things work. But that would be my assumption is, hey, we want to use you for 3 shows coming up here. Here's a little, I don't know if it's a contract or whatever it is. Here's a little thing, agreement that we're going to use you. And then it's like, okay, buddy, we want to sign you to a full-time, you know. Right. Oh, we got Pluggo in the chat saying you love to see these studs back. Pluggo. Thank you. How are we doing, Pluggo? So that was a cool little way to start off start off Collision with a great match and then that cool feel-good moment for Brian Keith. We then had a digital exclusive promo for Jon Moxley against the CMLL guys, Volador Jr., Mystico, Mascara Dorada, and Hechicero. That's the guy that ends up fighting Bryan Danielson next is Hechicero?
Hechicero, yeah.
Hechicero. So it was a digital exclusive of him cutting a promo, basically saying like, "Oh, I get it. I get you guys. I respect you guys, but we're gonna mess you up. We're gonna mess you up." And then we had, and they were touting this as, "Hey, this is gonna be." Oh, okay. See you. Bye.
Huh. Yours
Yeah,
went down and mine came
one
up.
leaves and the other.
That's funny.
You going up?
That's funny.
Okay. I keep treats in here for
that
you.
happened in tandem.
It was.
Lou jumped down and this idiot jumped up.
There we go. There we go. And they were touting this, especially
Okay.
Nigel was like, "This is going to be one of the best technical wrestling matches you'll ever see. Hechicero is the best technical wrestler to come out of Mexico in 2 decades." They were saying like all that stuff. And then we had Danielson going one-on-one against Hechicero. How did you feel about this match? I thought the match was good. I thought the match was very good.
Listen.
Excellent. But I know nothing about this guy.
I
know nothing about
preface
CMLL.
this by saying I am not going to pretend that I'm into CMLL and AAA and anything other than mostly American wrestling. I never heard of Hechicero or any of the CMLL wrestlers mentioned from Dynamite and this whole thing. But the thing about it is that I like the Forbidden Door scenario where wrestlers are able to go from one place to another and do stuff like this and like just jump a barricade and cause chaos and stuff like that. So I like that stuff.
I do too.
Now, does this mean that I'm gonna go and watch his stuff in CMLL? No. But I appreciate this. I appreciate doing stuff like this. But honestly, I just don't have the time for the most part. Especially, my work is going to be ramping up now for the coming few weeks. So I'm really not going to have the time to go and seek out more than what I already watch.
Yeah.
And it's nothing against the CMLL wrestlers because aside from it being a bunch of people that I don't know versus a bunch of people that I do know, I enjoyed the match because this is the type of wrestling that I like.
Yeah.
So there could be a point in time where I go, oh, I'm liking the CMLL pairing. Maybe I go and I don't even know where to check out CMLL. Where is it? Where do you watch? Do they do shows even? Is it just like pay-per-view style things? Is it once a month? Is it once every other week? I have no idea about CMLL, honestly. But I appreciate this Forbidden Door-like aspect of coming in and doing stuff like this. So it gets me interested in who they're presenting on TV. But more than likely, I'm just going to see what they present on TV. I'm not going anywhere else to see it.
Yeah, agreed.
So, and I mean, Bryan Danielson is the greatest person in wrestling of all time.
He's fantastic.
As Jeremy Lambert would say, imagine thinking Bryan Danielson ain't the fucking GOAT.
Yeah. You got Bebe saying this match had my attention. That says a lot lately with AEW. The CMLL guy was so freaking amazing. He was very good. It was very impressive.
Yeah.
It was very impressive. We then had a backstage. Well, after the match, the CMLL guys get in there again, and they're beating up Bryan Danielson. But this time, Claudio comes out and runs him off.
So
Hechicero, was he the only one? He was attacking Danielson after the match, or were there other guys? Yeah, it was just him.
And so BCC comes out to help Danielson, but they don't come out to help Jon Moxley.
Yeah, very bizarre. I don't get it. But Claudio comes out, runs him off. Fair enough. And then we have FTR and Daniel Garcia in the back. They're all talking about potentially staying together as a trios team. Dax specifically says, hey, we're not ranked in the tag team rankings, which is fine because that's a loaded division, but we are ranked in the trios division. So guess what? You guys better watch out. And then the main event, which is happening later, is Christian Cage and the Patriarchy going against FTR and Garcia. And then they basically say, hey, you guys better watch out later because we're ranked in the trios division and we're going for those trios.
And I am happy that they are, because I think they actually work really great as a trio.
They do.
I really
They do. And another thing that I've loved since we've been gone is what's been going on with Daniel Garcia. Excellent.
Oh, yes.
The way they are
He
portraying
was
him.
big time over at World's End. Big time
Yes.
over.
Mhm.
And, you know, I feel like this is really good for him, and I've named this group FT Garcia.
It's fair.
So, just FT
Yeah.
Garcia.
Yeah.
I think that they are really doing right by Daniel Garcia now, particularly because I feel like ever since he joined the Jericho Appreciation Society, he's really just been floundering around, like not
Mhm.
doing much. And they did the thing, where they wanted him to like join BCC, but then he didn't join BCC, and
Yep.
but I think that if they did do that, if he did join BCC back then, I don't
Yep.
know if Wheeler Yuta would be the character that he is now.
That's fair.
So I feel like what Yuta's been molded into wouldn't have happened if Daniel Garcia joined the group.
I would agree.
So I'm actually happy in a sense that he didn't join BCC, but they still weren't really doing that much with him to the point that now we're like, oh my God, he's finally being seen as a legitimate person. He's finally broken out of the Jericho thing, So it's just unfortunate that like talented wrestlers get paired with Chris Jericho, and then it really becomes about Chris Jericho.
Yep.
And that's been the thing with quite a number of people on the AEW roster, unfortunately. And yeah, so I'm really happy that FT Garcia is a thing, and when we get to the main event, I mean, hell of a match, and I loved the ending. So when we get there, we're gonna talk about that.
Yep. We then had a 2-on-1 handicap match. Hook was going against the Outrunners, Truth Magnum and Turbo Floyd. What names? Fantastic names. This is what you thought it was. Hook, at the beginning, getting beaten down a little bit, 2-on-1, and then Hook comes and he wins very, very easily, comes from the bottom, comes back, suplexing everybody, choking dudes out, and he gets a rather easy victory. Yeah, I thought this match was fine for what it was. Yeah, that's all I really got to say about that.
Yeah, it was fine. It was Hook randomly showing up at Collision and wanting a match, and Tony Khan giving it to him. So he's like, okay, I like Hook. I like Hook on my screen. So, and the Outrunners. The Outrunners are interesting individuals.
A throwback tag team. Tag team. They remind me of the not the Fabulous Rougeau brothers, but they remind me of like those late 80s, early 90s tag teams, from the colors, the look. They just
Freebirds-esque.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. Then they just remind me of like, just those tag teams from the early 90s when I first started watching wrestling that you would see fighting the Natural Disasters or the Nasty Boys, or like these teams that you would see. They got a unique look to them. I look at them and I look at the other group that used to be Bear Country. What are they? The Iron Savages. I look at them.
I love them.
I look at the Iron Savages and I look at a group like the Outrunners, and I'm like, those are throwback tag teams to me. Like, those look like if they were in the 90s, they would have been fit right in, like early to mid 90s. Those are what those were. Yeah.
That's the Iron Savages.
Iron Savages. They're obviously at a different level. No, hilarious. We then have Tony Schiavone in the ring, and he is cutting an interview with Mark Briscoe. God, what a treasure Mark Briscoe is. He's just fantastic. You know what I love, Drew, is I love, because I almost called him Edge, but Adam Copeland did it with his first promo. It's been happening since AEW started, but I really like when the wrestlers, like, this is Mark Briscoe's first time in the ring cutting a promo with Tony Schiavone, and you can tell, and he vocally said how much it meant to him to be in the ring being interviewed by Tony Schiavone. And he said, hey, we're in Texas. Yeah. I remember being a young kid with my brother watching Texas wrestling, and Tony Schiavone was was in the ring doing interviews or backstage doing interviews with Dusty Rhodes and Ric Flair and all these people, these greats of all time. And it means a lot for me to be here in a ring with Tony Schiavone. I love when the wrestlers do that. And and Tony, like I said, Adam Copeland did it. There's been a few others that did it that have come over and they're like, I can't believe I'm standing in the ring with you, Tony. Like, you were the voice of my childhood. I saw you doing, I like when that happens. And because it feels organic, it feels like it means something to the wrestlers that are in the ring. And you can tell it obviously means something to Schiavone. And then like they had the Tony chant after that. So I just thought that was a nice moment. And I like how it's kind of happened organically with a bunch of different wrestlers. Because look at, when I was growing up watching wrestling, Tony Schiavone was the voice of WCW for me. That's who he was. He was the main commentator. He was one of the voices of WCW, if not the main voice for me. So I think it's pretty cool to see these wrestlers kind of feel the same way, because, it means a lot to them too. But he's basically talking about why it was important that he came out and helped Garcia and FTR last week. He said, you fight for your family, you fight for your friends. He said, and then you fight until you can't fight anymore. And even after that, you keep fighting. And the crowd was getting really into it. And then the lights go out and you see the House of Black on the screen.
And not a feud that I thought we'd be seeing.
No,
Mark
not at all.
Briscoe and the House of Black.
Hey, I'm into it though. I'm into it.
I am. Oh yeah, I am.
Yeah. And Briscoe and Malachi Black says that they are going to eradicate Mark Briscoe and make it so his legacy just vanishes. Nobody remembers him and stuff like that. The lights turn back on and Briscoe is in fighting stance. He's ready for, I think he's expecting to be attacked or something like that. And Malachi Black and the House of Black show back up on the screen and he goes, see? He goes, this is going to be easier than we thought because we're already in your head.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this because that was like, oh,
yep,
they were in everybody's heads because everybody thought that Mark Briscoe was about to get attacked right there.
Yep, 100%.
And I like playing that off. It's like, oh, the typical wrestling things, we're turning off the lights from coming up around the ring, but this time's like, oh no, we're not in the ring, we're in your head.
Yep,
I like that a lot.
Yeah, we're in your head, and that's going to make it pretty easy to do what we want to do because we're already messing with you. I thought it was very well done. And then we had a nice little quick vignette of Adam Copeland saying that he's going to be live and he's going to address the AEW audience from Dynamite in Las Vegas next week. So we'll see Adam Copeland. We then had Serena Deeb versus Queen Aminata. Excellent wrestling match between these two women. And we talked about a little bit earlier at the top of the show. I have very much enjoyed what I've seen from Queen Aminata. I would like to see her win some matches here a little bit. Yeah. But she has been excellent. And this is someone that I didn't even know who she was until I started seeing her on AEW. She's very good. She's very, very good. And we all know how good Serena Deeb is.
But I got to tell you, I feel like she's a bit rejuvenated.
Deeb?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, big time.
And
they're presenting her as like a baby face. She's giving fans the flag kind of thing.
Yeah, I think that was the right call, honestly.
Yeah.
Because two particular things that she did in this match. The guillotine choke that she did off of the second rope.
Yeah.
And just, oh my God, that looks so brutal. And I do not see that from many people, if anybody, honestly.
Yeah.
It's a unique move to her, and it looks brutal. It looks great, honestly. And then her submission that she did out on the outside with Aminata's legs around the ring post. I think it's what is it called?
Uh, I'm not gonna.
Serenity something. Serenity Lock? Might be called the
Yeah, I think
Serenity
it's
Lock.
Serenity Log. I think you might be right there.
Um, that's great. Like, that's 2 things that you don't see people normally doing.
Mhm.
You'll see like, what I thought was happening was like, oh, she can take her leg and she's gonna slam it up on the ring post like 100 wrestlers do, and
Yep.
typically, but she wraps her leg around it and she does the submissions. Like, oh wow. You know, obviously you can only hold that submission for 4 seconds because if you go to 5 seconds, you're gonna get disqualified. But
Yep.
um it looks brutal enough to be effective, and she won the match. So um obviously, she was booked to win the match. But I like that the wrestling makes it make sense.
Yep. And Bebe saying that the ring post move reminded him of Bret Hart. Bret Hart did that move, with kind of the figure 4 on the ring
Okay.
post
Yeah.
there. Yeah, very, very good. I liked it. Uh, again, they continue to give us good women's wrestling matches, which is nice. We then had Swerve Strickland in the ring with Tony Schiavone, Prince Nana in tow. Dude, Swerve is the dude. Swerve is the dude. He's talking about Black History Month. He says it's an important month where they talk about the excellence of Black people and what they've done, and their achievements and things like that. And he brings it to the wrestling side of it. He goes, let's talk about it. He goes, guys that started it, that are the reason why I'm here. Ron Simmons, he mentions, which is, WCW. He was the first Black World Heavyweight Champion. He mentions Kofi Kingston.
Yeah.
Kofi Kingston gets a shout out. And he got a good ovation from the crowd. And then he mentions, hey, my girl that's been killing it and holding down Ring of Honor. He mentions Athena. So he puts over some people, talking about great African American wrestlers. And then he says that he plans on making some Black history himself when he beats Hangman on Wednesday, and then becomes what was the goal from the second he came to AEW, and that is to become the AEW, the first Black AEW World Heavyweight Champion. And then this is when he pulled, and then Prince Nana starts talking, and Prince Nana's like, yep, Swerve's going to win, and then we're going to take over, and it's just the start of this, blah, blah, blah. And Swerve just goes, hey, he goes, listen, he goes, Mogul Embassy means something to me. I want you there at ringside with me. I want you to be a part of this. I value you. But he looks him dead in the eyes and he points right in his face and he goes, no interferences. I want no excuses for Hangman because Hangman cannot beat me. And I want to beat him fair and square, one-on-one, no interferences. And then I'm going to go beat Joe to become the AEW World Heavyweight Champion. He had the crowd in the palm of his hand. Every time he does the Who's House, the crowd just eats it up.
Yeah.
I thought this was a great promo. I thought this was, yeah, man. I just see stuff like this and I see the promo and how the crowd kind of just the response he gets coming out, his theme, Nana, and when he says Swerve, Whose House, the whole crowd is just in it. Swerve's house. This is the guy to me. He is just a giant star already, but an even bigger star in the making. Bebe, this is a good question. I want to get Drew's opinion on the actual promo and stuff, but Bebe says, I feel Swerve is the top star, but do you already stop Joe's reign? I just don't know. I kind of feel the same sentiment.
Yeah.
But first and foremost, talk about the promo, and then
yeah.
kind of we can talk about that a little bit.
Swerve has this unique promo style.
Yep.
That is the way that he talks is its purpose is to draw you in. He doesn't scream, he's not loud, he's very direct. He gets up close into the microphone, he speaks softly. It's kind of funny because I feel like that was like similar to Keith Lee's promo style.
Yeah.
Very soft, up in the microphone, which he, when they were tag teaming together before he turned heel on him, is like make fun of him for.
Yeah.
But I feel like his promo style is somewhat similar to that. Like he doesn't use all the fancy words and all the, elegant vocabulary and all that stuff. But it's very direct and it draws you in. It always draws me in. He's honestly, I can't believe WWE let this go.
Yeah.
Honestly. Like
Yeah.
he's one of the best talkers in wrestling. And he's just got this aura about him. And so now the question is, aside from Bebe's, which I do want to address also, this little tease now that they're doing where he doesn't want interference from Mogul Embassy. But Prince Nana is kind of playing it up a little bit like he's going to interfere anyway, even though Swerve doesn't want him to. That would obviously lead to a breakup in some way soon, which is like, as much as Swerve is phenomenal, in his own right, as his own person, Nana doing the dance to Swerve's music is just, it's like iconic at this point.
It's part of it. It's part of it. It's part of the whole thing.
Like to get rid of that, I don't know what his, well, no, because there have been a few instances where like Nana's playing up being hurt from a match, somebody beating him down, so the next time Swerve comes out, Nana's not there doing the dance. And it just doesn't feel the same. It doesn't feel the same with him there, with him not there doing the dance. And Swerve just coming out to his own music by himself. It feels weird. It's so over.
Yeah.
How do you break that up?
Sure.
I mean, what would you do in this instance?
I wouldn't break them up. I think you just kind of take it for what it is, and you just have, yeah. When Swerve says, "Hey, I don't want any interferences. I want you to be a part of this. I want you along for this ride. I value you. I value the Mogul Embassy." To me, I mean, look, here's the thing. It all depends on what they want to do. Do they want to make Swerve the top babyface in the company? Because he could be. And we've already seen he can damn well be the top heel in the company too. Whatever you want him to do, he can do. If you're making, if the goal is that you want this guy to be the top babyface in the company, he needs to then. It's hard because Nana is tied to the rest of the Mogul Embassy more than Swerve is. Right? So it's one of those things where I could see Swerve and Prince Nana being a babyface thing, because look at Prince Nana coming out and doing the dance. That's babyface. That's as babyface as it gets. That's as babyface as it gets, right? The crowd's dancing with it's a phenomenon, So I could easily see them two being a babyface outfit, but at the same time, if Swerve breaks away from the Mogul Embassy to be a babyface, if that's the route that AEW wants to take him at, as presented as a babyface, Nana can't be the heel guy for the rest of the Mogul Embassy, but then be the I would keep them together. Lou, God dang it. I would keep them together.
But if he interferes in the match,
I would have him not. Interfere in the match. I would just have it be a clean. Well, I guess that goes in, and we're obviously going to see what happens. You coming up? Come on now. Who do you think wins on Wednesday? Do you think Swerve wins, or do you think Hangman wins? Right now, if you just had to pick, do you think that ends up being some bullshit and it's a triple threat? Like, how do you think they're going here?
I didn't even think about that.
Ideally, I would want a triple threat. I think a triple threat match at Revolution would rule.
I think Hangman wins.
But that's where I'm leaning to.
Because he hasn't
That's where I'm
beaten
leaning to.
Swerve yet, and the
Yeah.
story is he needs to beat Swerve.
Yes.
So, but then
Because
if he,
go ahead.
it's hard because I want Swerve to win,
Agreed.
but Swerve and Joe, I feel like doesn't have the same pizzazz that Hangman and Joe would have. Only because Hangman is a clear babyface and Samoa Joe is a clear heel.
Yes. Yes.
So while Swerve can be a babyface, I feel like he works better as a heel. I think his
Yeah.
character is more heel driven, and the aura that it presents is that he is the bad guy while Prince Nana does the babyface dancing.
Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah.
they play off each other really well.
Yeah.
So I and W excuse me, sorry.
Wow.
AEW
No, I'm just kidding.
AEW likes doing like face heel
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
Like
They
they
don't
don't
always follow
mind
the
doing that
formula.
stuff.
Yeah.
So I think that it would work. The match with Samoa Joe and Swerve would work, but they're playing up too much that Hangman hasn't beaten Swerve yet, and that makes me think, as wrestling history shows you, when that's the story, except in the case of Cody Rhodes, when that's the story, you beat the guy that you haven't beaten.
Yeah.
So now then there's that interference part where Swerve is saying he doesn't want interference. Wrestling history and the way matches are booked also then tells you, like I predicted with like Mariah May, if when Tony Storm and Deonna Purrazzo have their match,
Mm-hmm.
the outside person does the interference thinking that they're helping the person that they're with, but it ends up costing them the match. So I could see either it's clean and Hangman just wins for the first time
Yeah.
to satisfy that part of the story, or what's going on? What's happening?
Lou's just trying to he's just bringing it into the mic. He's like, I want these people to hear what I have to say. So I'm just like, okay.
So they could either do that to satisfy that part of the story, or you have the interference that Swerve doesn't want, and that ends up costing him the match, and that's how you get Hangman and Samoa Joe.
Yeah.
So it can go either way. I feel like regardless of what happens, it's Hangman that's winning. I just don't know how. I like that I don't know how.
I agree. I do like that I don't know how.
But I also don't like one of the options of how it happens because I don't want Nana and Swerve to not be a thing.
Exactly.
So now in regards to Bebe's, that can lead right into Bebe's question, feeling like Swerve is the top star, but do you already stop Joe's reign? I feel like Hangman winning continues Joe's reign because I don't think Hangman wins Swerve in Samoa Joe versus him at Revolution.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Revolution.
I feel like if it's Joe and Hangman at Revolution, Joe wins. If it ends up being Swerve, I feel like when Swerve goes for the world title, Swerve needs to win the world title.
Yeah, honestly.
That's how I don't think Swerve, I mean, obviously he can lose and then get it. Like
you need to strike while the iron is hot.
Yes, but I feel like once Swerve is going for the world title, he needs to win the world title, especially if it's one-on-one. If they're doing a triple threat, he doesn't have to be involved in the final thing there. So you can play that off a certain way. But if they're doing one-on-one Swerve versus Joe, or if it ends up being Swerve and Hangman again, whatever, if they're doing Swerve, God, my cat just ruining everything. No, I love him. But if they're doing Swerve, going for the title one-on-one, Swerve needs to win. Whereas Hangman does not.
And that's where we go into what Bebe is saying. I feel like Joe needs to go past Revolution as champion.
I agree.
So I don't think he should just be a transitional champion between MJF and the next person.
Yes,
I
I
think
agree.
that he is making that title prestigious in a way, in the way that he is presented on TV. And then they also just redesigned the title a little
Mhm.
to now have these side plates with the wrestler's name on them, and
Yep,
looks great
it
with
does.
Samoa Joe's name on it. It's like, do
Yep.
you just get rid of that already? You know? And by the way, speaking of the title redesign, I was not happy with it when I first heard about this. I
Yeah.
was like, side plates. Hello? That sounds very familiar. That sounds like something that I'm pointing at right now. Because this title literally has side plates, as do all of WWE's current titles have side plates. Do we want to
Yep.
do side plates? That's a WWE thing right now.
Mhm.
But after seeing it on TV, it looks gorgeous.
Yeah, it looks very
So
good.
I actually
It
am
looks very
I'm
nice.
totally fine with it now because it looks gorgeous. Um, so I feel like okay, so Bebe says Hangman wins by DQ, and that saves Swerve from losing, but then no championship match. Well, in that case, if it's a DQ on Wednesday, then I think that leads to a triple threat, like you were saying.
Yeah, agreed.
So that protects Swerve if Samoa Joe pins Hangman. So it's not like the scenario where you're saying like if he goes after the world title, he needs to win the world title. They
Mm.
don't do triple threats very often. So it could end up being that, oh, so you know what then? Playing off the story. Okay, so Saturday he says, don't interfere. I don't want any interference.
Yep.
So now maybe instead of what I said of the interference causes Swerve to lose,
Mhm.
the interference causes a DQ, and that makes it a triple threat.
Yeah, you could do that route. Yeah.
So that takes the breaking up Nana and Swerve thing away, and it takes Hangman winning clean away. Those two scenarios. So maybe that's what they end up doing then.
Maybe. There's a lot of ways they can go about it, and it'll be fun to see how they do it. It'll be fun to see how they do it. To round out the rest of Collision, we had Red Velvet, who was basically in a showcase match. She went up against Vert Vixen, who Vert Vixen was a part of the LPW 22 show. She challenged Zoe Sager for
Oh, she
the
was.
challenge
Oh, wow.
championship, and Zoe was victorious and retained. But Vert Vixen was a part of the last LPW 22 show that happened last week. And she fought Red Velvet, and Red Velvet it wasn't a full squash, but it was basically a showcase squash match for Red Velvet. But very cool to see Vert Vixen on there as well. And then we had the main event. It was Christian Cage and the Patriarchy, Nick Wayne and Killswitch going against FT Garcia. Really, really good main event, as you would expect. Christian Cage and the Patriarchy, though, get the victory here. So they get the victory, which I assume means FT Garcia is going to move down in the rankings here with the loss. But it seems like we saw with the promo earlier that they are going to continue being a trios and move forward in that realm, which you and I are both, we said we're both for. We like this little pairing here with FTR and Garcia. But talk to me about this main event. It was a good one. It was a good one.
It really was.
I was actually, even though it's Christian, and I get it, there's usually a lot of chicanery and he wins more than he loses. I actually thought FTR and Garcia were going to win this match. So I was kind of a little.
But he did win.
No, Christian Cage and the Patriarchy.
Didn't.
Right? At least the results that I'm watching right here says that they defeated it. They won. Is that wrong?
Did I? Did I totally forget the end of the match that just happened last night? I thought that Daniel Garcia was the one who got the victory because they did the stare down afterwards, and they were in the ring.
I am with you. The
Chat,
results that
chat,
I'm
help
reading,
me here because
yeah, the results that I'm reading, which are from the Fightful website, they say that Christian Cage and the Patriarchy defeated FTR and Daniel Garcia. Is that wrong? I honestly don't remember. We're great at this. We're really good at this. That we don't remember the result for the main event of a show that happened last night.
Am
I wrong?
Okay, hold. I have to go to Cage Side Seats right now, and
I'm already
see
there.
another place.
I'm already there. Hold on.
Kill switch. Blah blah blah. The finish came down to when Garcia, the fancy dancer, counted a springboard dive into a jackknife pin to win. FTR and Garcia swiveled their hips and Christian's face to close. Yeah, that whole thing was they won. That's why the stare down with between Garcia and Christian Cage was so interesting because it looked like he was going after the TNT. Fightful, the Fightful account says that they lost.
Yeah, on the collision results on Fightful, it says Christian Cage and Patriarchy defeat FTR and Daniel Garcia. Well, there you go.
I'm gonna have to tell Sean about that.
Yeah, I mean, I just go to look for the results because just to kind of as like a backup for my notes because when I write my notes, I don't always write who wins the matches. I just kind of write what I liked about the matches. So I usually go by Fightful. But it says that
hold on, this is
Cage and the Patriarchy defeated him.
Can you send me that on Twitter? The link of that because I clicked on something else. I thought it was
can do. But either way,
yeah.
Tell me what you thought about the main event. I thought it was a very good main event.
It was phenomenal.
Excellent.
There's okay, so now I want to mention specifically. I said earlier about why the ranking feels awesome. I was going to mention it on the main event. What I felt in the beginning of this match with Jax and Daniel Garcia trying to get that quick pin, that's like, oh, it's selling how important bringing the ranking back was because it's not just about the spots and the flips and all the wrestling moves and all that stuff. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Now it means something to get that number one ranked spot.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's the focus. That should always be obviously the focus is winning a match, but now it's not just about winning the match. It's about getting ranked number one on the rankings to go for a title. So quick pins, not just relying on wrestling moves, just trying to roll up right in the beginning of the match. I like that. I think that shows the wrestler trying to get that victory.
Yeah.
Not just by hitting their finisher, doing a flip move. As much as I love that type of wrestling, I think having the match be wrestler wins to get spot on the rankings to get a title adds to matches because now it's not just we're having a random match to have a random match. Now it's really definitively meaning something because you're going to get on that ranking if you win and you're going to get a title shot if you get number one. So I really appreciated that a lot. Now, while we were gone, something specifically with the patriarchy happened that I'm not really a fan of, and I'm not understanding. I understand part of it. So it has to do with Nick Wayne's mom. I understand wanting to be on her son's side because Adam Copeland tried to break his neck and end his career. That was like right in the beginning of December, I think that happened.
Yeah.
I understand that. It's like, oh, you want, you love your son and you don't want your son to be permanently injured and lose his wrestling career. I get that totally.
Yeah.
What I don't get is her being involved in a, and when I say involved with Christian Cage,
Yeah.
like sexually, as it's
I
being
mean, I think that's what
implied.
they're I think that's what they're pointing to. Yeah. Yeah.
Why? I don't. That part I don't get. That's like, what
He's
is?
Nick Wayne's new daddy. No, that's what
Yeah,
he is.
but he was scum to her. He was a piece of shit to her.
Yeah.
And
He was a piece of
then
shit
she
to Nick
just
Wayne too
decided
before
that
Nick Wayne joined.
I would be
kills
like,
Christian.
okay, I don't like this guy. Like, if
Listen,
she has to be a heel for this
a
story,
lot of ladies like the assholes, man. That's how it goes.
hey,
That-
I like asshole characters too sometimes.
that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
But I don't think that it needed to be, oh, Nick Wayne's, I forgot her name. So
I don't know.
I'm calling her
Mama Wayne.
Mama Wayne. I feel like she could be like, okay, I love you, Nick, and I will accept that you're doing what you feel is the right thing to do for yourself.
Mm.
I am then not gonna go, oh, now I'm gonna have sex with Christian Cage as a result.
Yeah. It's fair.
Like,
It's fair.
those two things just are
maybe
like,
Christian Cage won her over. Now
I
that she's in
guess.
it, maybe he's, you never know. I don't know.
Because I felt like at least one person should have kept Nick Wayne's dad, like, with the babyface side of that. But now it's just like, oh, well, screw Nick Wayne's dad. Now we're just with Christian Cage. I don't know. I felt like having her be involved in that way, it could have just been, like I said, of like, okay, I respect Nick, you're my son, I love you, fuck Adam Copeland, he tried to kill you, so that means joining the patriarchy, fine.
Yeah.
But then the implications of the sexual relationship between her and Christian Cage, I just don't get that part.
It's fair. It's fair. I'm not into the whole. To me, that side of the angle when she got involved and helped, like that did nothing for me in general.
I mean,
like
would I prefer her to have just not been involved? Yes.
Yes. Yeah. That's how I feel about it. So I guess like when it comes to like that side of things, like I am very pro Christian Cage. I like the group with Nick Wayne. I like Nick Wayne kind of being the prodigy, learning from the veteran. But like, yeah, I was never super emotionally invested when it came to the Mama Wayne part of it. Like I understand the added element to it, but I just, even now looking at it, like that part of it doesn't matter that much to me, I guess. Just her involvement in general, I would say, if that makes sense.
Right.
I don't know. But I don't disagree with you.
Because I agree. If I had to choose between what's going on right now and her not being involved, I would rather her not be involved.
Yeah. That's kind of how I am with it. But well, Drew, we did it. We are back. From here on out, we will have some good stuff to talk about next Sunday because we're going to be talking about who the number one contender for Samoa Joe's heavyweight championship is. We're going to be talking about Tony Khan's big announcement. We're going to be a lot of things to be discussing as we will be back next Sunday at 10 a.m. right here on our new home, youtube.com/Love Wrestling CA. Drew, I have been looking forward to us getting back together and chopping it up here about AEW. Glad we're back. feeling good, feeling refreshed, feeling really good.
Shout out, by the way, I need to give a shout out to our good friend Zach, who
yes, kills it.
Redid
always.
The whole look of Firmly AEW.
Yep.
And I thank him so much for that, because seeing this new background, seeing our intro video, I'm in love with it, and I've just had a smile on my face every single when he sent that to us, and I just kept playing that over and over and over again, because that looks so good, and I'm so happy that he was able to do that. So thank him.
I love it.
Much.
I love the new look, all of it. Appreciate you guys. A lot of fun in the chat today. We hit our like goal. We got to we wanted 15. We got to 16, baby. So we hit our likes goal for the week. Makes me feel good that our first week back, we're getting the support like we never left. Drew, let the people know where they can find you, what you're up to, and then we will wrap this puppy up with a bow.
Well, you can find me now. Something else that's new. You can find me on Twitter at the Drew Nicholas. Used to be at Big Money Drew, but I have since dropped the Big Money Drew thing. So I am at the Drew Nicholas on Twitter. And I am on Fightful's Collision post show, doing the super chats and humper chats every Saturday night. And I'm at the Roundtable Pro Wrestling Podcast, where another new thing that's happened is I now do a weekly news show with my friend, the franchise Bad Blood, and occasionally with Dave of the Pro Wrestling Podcast. And we have some circle, we circle out with a third person, sometimes other people from the Roundtable show. Mm-hmm. And we cover the week of news, of wrestling news. That's on Saturdays at 3 p.m. Eastern. So yeah, my weekend is full of wrestling now, and I'm actually really enjoying it. And sometime in the future, I had announced this on Twitter on January 1st that I was going to do a WWE show, a personal WWE show of mine. I'm putting that on hold for now. But sometime in the future, I might bring that back, and I might have a new person, a very good friend of mine joining me that I hadn't expected was going to say yes when I pitched it to him. So he may actually end up joining me for that. So my goal for that right now is post WrestleMania. I think my first show for that will be WrestleMania. I'm gonna see, but that's a little teaser for now. So I'm gonna be doing eventually a post premium live event show covering premium live events and what the storylines leading up to them and analyzing them. It's going to be really interesting. So it's slowly in the works, but it's something that I'll be excited about announcing an official date for.
Heck yeah. All right. So go do that. You can find me, JPJ Loves Gaming, on all social media platforms. You can even find me on YouTube as well and over on Twitch. Going to start to hopefully get the YouTube up and running a little bit more frequently. I don't use it, and I should. You can find me on TikTok as well. Do some shorts there. Trust me, on Friday night, I wanted to go on there and scream for 5 minutes. I didn't, because it was late and I didn't want to wake up the house. But I was ready to scream on my rooftops. But yeah, JPJ Loves Gaming. You know where to find me here on Love Wrestling. Thursday nights, 8 p.m. Between Two Beards with my man Pluggo. Sunday mornings, like I said, today we are back with Drew doing the AEW, the Firmly AEW. I will be back here tonight after Vengeance Day, talking NXT with Pluggo and some other LPW friends, talking about that show. But yeah, JPJ Loves Gaming, youtube.com/Love Wrestling CA. That's where you can find us. Drew, like I said a few times now, great to be back. Looking forward to doing this thing every week again and get back in the swing of things. Everybody in the chat, thank you for hanging in today, chatting with us, the participation. We wouldn't be able to do this without any of you, so we appreciate you guys a lot. And you guys know the drill. Until next time, for Drew and myself, peace out.